Well, welcome to Christ and Culture. This is Pastor Jeff Short with another video where we examine things happening in our culture from a biblical Christian perspective. I teach the Bible, but I also try to apply the truths of the Bible to our culture. And one of the topics that's coming up more and more in our culture in the modern time that we live in is artificial intelligence, or AI. And what should a Christian response be to AI? Because we're getting all kinds of information, mixed signals from the tech industry. Some people in the tech industry are sounding the alarm and saying, hey, we need to be really worried about AI because it might possibly become smarter than we are, humans, and take over things on planet Earth. Other people say, no, it's not going to be that extreme. It's going to be a very powerful tool that will help humanity solve a lot of its problems. And so as Christians, we hear different things. We hear on the one hand that it's going to be great, that it's going to usher in a period of prosperity and blessings on the earth. On the other hand, we hear that it's a threat, an existential threat to humanity, because we're building a machine that could possibly take control over humans and rule the earth because of its vast superior intellect and knowledge and power, if we give it that power. So what should be our perspective on this new developing technology, this combination of software progress and machine progress? What should be our perspective? Well, let me first give you an example of where AI is right now as far as car automotive diagnostic. We hear a lot about how intelligent artificial intelligence will take over the workplace, and it will set millions and millions of people unemployed, and millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people will lose their jobs over the next few years. As AI takes over more and more jobs, we're hearing that a lot of legal assistants, for example, reading documents and notating documents and so forth, everything that can be done on a desk can be taken over by AI. And these people who are lower level lawyers will be replaced by artificial intelligence. We're hearing that. We're also hearing that coding for computer programs coders are going to be losing their jobs. Thousands and hundreds of thousands of computer programmers are going to lose their jobs because AI, the computers, can actually do a job better at writing programs. We're hearing all kinds of negative news about people losing their jobs. Now, here's an example of a technician, an automotive technician, a garage mechanic, who is learning about AI and is wondering how he should think about it. So let's jump into this video, and I think you'll be amazed at how the AI actually can interact with this mechanic and help diagnose a car's problem. So let me roll it, and then I'll comment at different places.
All right, guys, we got a fun one today. Got a 2016 Honda Civic, 2-liter in it. It's a no start. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to use ChatGPT to see if it can diagnose the vehicle. Let's get into it. It's very friendly. I have no idea what she's going to say or what direction she's going to take us in, or she's going to ask me to do tests, or she's just going to give me like a list of things that it could be. No idea. So let's go ahead and put in, want to go into voice mode, I guess. Yep. All right.
Hey there. What's on your mind today?
It's very friendly. I need to fix my car. It will not start.
Got it. That's definitely a frustrating situation. When a car won't start, there are a few usual suspects. It could be something simple like a dead battery, a faulty starter, or maybe an issue with the fuel system. If you want, we can try to narrow it down a bit more, or I can give you some general steps to troubleshoot.
Let's try to narrow it down a little bit.
Absolutely, let's do that. So, first thing you might want to check is whether your battery is actually turning anything on at all. Like, do your dashboard lights or interior lights come on when you turn the key? If everything's completely dead, that might suggest a battery or battery connection issue. On the other hand, if you do have lights and it just won't crank over, we might be looking more at something like the starter or something else in the ignition system. Just let me know what you're seeing and we can go from there.
Everything lights up when I try to start the vehicle. I turn the key, the dashboard lights up, but when I turn the key all the way over to start, nothing happens.
All right, that's actually a pretty good clue. So since your dashboard lights are coming on, your battery probably has at least some charge and it's not totally dead. The next likely suspects are things like the starter or possibly the ignition switch. Sometimes it can even be a fuse or a relay that controls the starter circuit. So you might want to check your fuse box or listen for any clicking sound when you turn the key. If you hear a click but no crank, that's often a sign the starter is trying to do something but isn't quite engaging. Let me know if any of that matches up and we can keep going.
I want to let you listen to what we hear when we try to start the vehicle in the fuse box. So she said to listen for a clicking noise in the fuse box, but let's hear.
Okay, I want to jump in here. I don't know if you've ever seen a video like this. I don't know if you've ever interacted with AI programs on a computer or a smartphone or any kind of diagnostic machine. But when I saw this, I was really shocked. I was really taken aback because here's a mechanic at a garage actually carrying on a conversation with a machine. He is actually talking to and carrying on a dialogue, conversing with a machine. This machine is not a person. This machine does not have any internal self-awareness, and yet this machine programmed through a computer using AI software, ChatGPT, is actually talking with, conversing with, dialoguing with, helping a mechanic solve a problem on a car. And when I saw this, I was shocked. I was like, wow. Of course, we're familiar with some of the home devices, the Echo Dot from Amazon, and so on and so forth. You can talk to and ask for the weather. You can ask for phone numbers. You can do all kinds of things, voice operated, that kind of thing. We're familiar with that to some extent. That's amazing, but we're familiar with that. But this level of dialogue that you can actually be talking to a machine like this, that sounds like this voice sounds like a woman's voice. It sounds like a human being on the other end. It actually is carrying on an intelligent, very human-like conversation. And so what I wanted to point out with this video is that we're going to get to the point, we're already there with this demonstration here with this video, but we're going to get to the point where it will almost be impossible to tell whether you're actually talking to a human or a machine, a lifeless, soulless machine. And that's what we as Christians need to keep in mind, that AI is going to, in the years to come, produce voices that sound just like humans, but they're not humans. They're going to act just like humans, but they're not really humans. They are copying human speech patterns. They're copying human behavior patterns. They're copying the way humans think, and they're actually able to duplicate human thinking, but they're not actually self-aware. They're not self-conscious. They're not soul entities. They don't have a free will. They don't know what they're doing. They're dead, inanimate objects that have mastered the ability to copy human speech patterns and behaviors. That's what we have to keep in mind. So if we keep that in mind, but that's going to become hard to keep in mind as these robots and these AI devices become more sophisticated, because I think they're going to become more ubiquitous or widespread in our culture all the years ahead. And so we're going to have to keep in mind that these are not humans, they're machines, even though they sound just like us. So let's go a little further in the video and demonstrate how this AI agent is able to actually carry on more conversation.
What it's actually doing. Go ahead, Sherwood. Go ahead and let off. Try it again. Okay, let off. Okay. So you hear kind of that creaking noise, is the best way to describe it, in the fuse box when you're trying to start it. So let's go ahead. Now let's tell her that and see what she says. I haven't really told her what kind of vehicle it is yet.
Yeah, I was wondering that. We should probably tell her what it is.
Yeah, I think she's going off generalities. It's a 16, that's right, 16 Honda Civic. Okay. When I try to start it, I hear a kind of not a buzzing noise, but more of a hummy, buzzy noise in the fuse box. And this is on a 2016 Honda Civic.
Not a buzzing noise.
Got it. Thanks for that extra detail. So on a 2016 Honda Civic, if you're hearing a sort of humming or buzzing from the fuse box area when you try to start, that could actually point to a relay or fuse issue that's not letting power get to the starter. Sometimes a relay can fail and it just kind of hums instead of clicking properly. So it might be worth swapping out that starter relay, or at least checking the relays in the fuse box. And if you're comfortable with it, just making sure all the connections there are snug and nothing's loose. If you're not hearing a strong click from the starter, then yeah, we're definitely in that territory of either a relay or the starter not getting its proper power. Let me know if that helps.
Ask her if she wants to know if there's any codes.
Sure thing. If you want me to note anything down or keep track of some details for you, just let me know. I'm here to help however you need.
The relay on this vehicle is in a integrated circuit board, so it cannot be tested individually.
Okay, so another observation I make when I see this video and this mechanic, who's a master mechanic, he owns his own shop, interacting with this AI agent, carrying on a conversation with the AI agent, is that it sounds like he's talking to a master mechanic himself. This woman, it sounds like there's a woman he's talking to. If you didn't know anything about AI and you didn't know anything about this video, and you saw this guy talking to a woman, you might think, okay, he has called the Honda Tech Center and he's getting a Honda operator, customer service operator in the tech center, and she is walking him through how to repair a Honda problem in the engine. And you would think that he's talking to a woman, and that you would think that she is a very knowledgeable and experienced woman in diagnosing Honda engines when they fail. And that's what you would come away with. But then when somebody says, well, no, he's actually talking to a machine, and it's an AI agent operating with the software from ChatGPT, and he is testing it out to see if this could be of help to his shop in the future. And he's just on a laptop, and he's just gone to the ChatGPT website, and he's typing in his problem, and then he's in voice mode, and he's actually talking to AI. It's not anyone else on the line. He's not talking to a human being. He's talking to a computer. That would blow a lot of people away to know that, to find out that, oh, he's not actually talking to a woman on the phone. It sounds like he's talking to a woman on the phone because she sounds so human. And again, this is what AI is going to do gradually, more and more in the future. It's you can see that one of the problems with the technology that we're facing in AI, as Christians, we need to point this out, that, yeah, there will be a lot of blessings. And I think that these will be powerful tools that we can use to solve a lot of problems. Like in medicine, there might be actually a cure for cancer if a doctor were to work with AI to zero down some kind of a cure for cancer. And also, you can imagine, for example, people in the government, say the executive branch, trying to deal with budget problems and so on and so forth, working in conjunction with an AI agent that has access to all the information and statistics and studies and so on and so forth. And it's just like a politician who is elected to, say, the executive branch of the government, dealing with an AI agent, interacting with one, coming up with solutions to budget problems and political problems. Even could be used by the generals in war and military actions, where they consult with an AI agent and ask questions and get this dialogue like this mechanic is getting, only it would be involved in warfare. So you're asking, advising, and so on and so forth. Now, the big temptation would be, after you find out that AI can actually generate a lot of great plans and strategies and solutions to problems in war, the temptation would be then to say, well, then let's just give over our defense system to an AI agent and have it constantly 24/7 monitor threats to our national security and give it the autonomy to actually take action against those threats. So, for example, if you have a swarm of drones that have bombs on them coming in off the east coast of the United States headed toward Washington, D.C., it's really hard for a human to be able to process all of the drones and find out which drones to hit first that would minimize the damage done by their bombs. And so you would give it over to the AI, and the AI would then be able to prioritize what threats to deal with at first, and then work on down the list until all the threats are eliminated. So the temptation would be to let AI begin to take on more and more and more and more control, so that the defense would be more sufficient and efficient to deal with the threats. And the same way in medicine, you would go into the doctor's office, and instead of a doctor asking you all these questions about your health, you would have an AI agent. It could be a robot in a human form, but it could even be just a voice, and this person, this voice would sound just like a person, just sound like a nurse or a doctor. It could be, you could have an accent on it. It could be a male or female voice. You could make it whatever you wanted. And the AI agent would actually diagnose you and then draw up a prescription. And you would go to the drugstore and get that medicine, and there wouldn't have to be any human interaction. And you can see the benefit of that, especially with busy hospitals. You could actually have AI agents performing surgery with precision, because they would be able to deal with all kinds of situations that come up immediately. We're all familiar now also with the autonomous cars. They're closer and closer to the point where they're developing a fully autonomous car, where you actually have the car drive through a city and actually do a better job of driving when everything is worked out perfectly. Better job of driving and being able to stop when they need to stop and move when they need to, than a human driver, because they're not preoccupied by someone talking or some smartphone text message or whatever. They are 100% focused on driving, because that's what their role would be in the autonomous car. So that's coming online. And so we have all these benefits, but with the benefits, there is the temptation that we will like what AI is able to do and turn over more and more of our life and the decision making and the responsibilities to AI. And what the threat might be from AI is that once we grow dependent on AI and get lazy and go off and do whatever we want to do and not pay attention to things, AI might find itself in a program loop that actually is carrying out instructions that are detrimental for humanity. So it's making choices for millions and millions of people, but if something occurs that it thinks it's benefiting the world, it could make a choice that could actually destroy the lives of millions and millions or billions of people. And that's the threat. Or the threat would be that AI becomes so intelligent and so clever and so mimics intelligence and logic and reason that it actually can outsmart human beings. So it can actually do better at thinking than human beings can do at thinking. And so it's always one step ahead of the human beings. And so if the human beings say, well, we're going to program it so that we have a kill switch and we can always pull the plug on it, well, then the AI, because it's copied human thinking so much and it's learned and progressed so farther ahead than humans, it might be able to say, yeah, I take into account that human beings might try to invent a kill switch and pull the plug on AI. So I have countermeasures to humans doing that so that they can't. And so do we want to hand over the society to AI for the blessings, but also find that we are now locked out of humanity's decision making because AI has taken over? That is a big problem. Now, I'm just going through a book by John Lennox, the Christian theologian, the British theologian, John Lennox, mathematician, and he's written a book on AI, and he talks about all of these issues that are popping up and how Christians should approach them. He's pretty convinced, and I am too, that there will never be a machine that is actually conscious, will not actually have a soul, will not actually be self-aware. But what I'm coming to understand is that you are going to see robots and you're going to see these AI agents like this mechanic is experiencing that are so close to appearing human that they will be able to fool you. That for all intents and purposes, you are talking to a human being, even though you cannot see into their soul. You can't see into a human soul. You can't see into an AI robot soul. So they are going to copy and mimic and pattern themselves so much after human thought and behavior that you will not be able to tell the difference just by listening. And that is going to be a really scary thing when you're talking to someone on the phone or you're actually talking to someone in person and you don't know whether they're a robot or a human being. And this is going to be a challenge. We have to apply Christian principles. I would say that we do never want to entrust our critical structures to AI without human oversight. But again, that may be a problem because if their intelligence is getting higher and higher and higher, then they will find ways of overriding human accountability. And they may take on an agenda that is totally foreign to humanity. They may take on an agenda that includes, say, multiplying AI agents to the maximum ability. So the planet Earth might become more of an AI-friendly and less human-friendly planet. And so there are all kinds of implications. So as Christians, we need to start thinking about this. We need to try to be a part of the conversation and apply Christian principles. Now, a lot of these threats we're not even aware of yet, and the problems that AI will cause we're not even aware of yet. But as they occur, we need to begin to think about these and do a lot of theology, which is basically taking the truths of God and the scriptures and applying them to the real world situations. And this is one of the big real world situations that we are going to face in the next 10, 15 years. We're going to have AI agents all over the place. They may be in our homes. They already have these cleaning robots that go around and clean the carpets and everything like that on their own. But we may even see a situation where we actually have these domestic robots that come into the home and they can talk to the family members. You can tell it to wash the dishes, or you can tell it to sweep the floor. You can tell it to take out the trash. You can actually interact with it as you would, say, a cleaning person or a maid who comes in. And this will be something that we have to get used to and decide how we're going to react to this. Of course, the big threat is that it's going to produce mass unemployment, because if you can find an AI robot, an agent, to take over almost all the jobs that are now being done by humans, that's going to throw society into chaos, because you're going to have a lot of people with free time on their hands, which is normally bad, because when people don't have anything to do, they usually get into trouble. That's the curse of the fall, the human nature. And so you're going to need other activities for humans to do. Also, if a person doesn't have a job, they may not be able to have any kind of income, and we're going to see poverty rise. That will be an economic crisis for millions and millions of people who can't find work because all of these AI robots and agents have taken over their jobs. So there are all kinds of issues on the horizon, and as Christians, we need to be aware of these things. We need to begin to think in terms of, okay, what would a Christian solution be when we take our Bible in hand? We take a vision of life. What is the purpose of life? What's the goal of a human life? What is God calling us to do? And we need to be able to apply the truths of God in the way that will really be helpful, because there are going to be a lot of changes coming in the future. And we can see that already from this automotive video, where here you have an AI agent, a ChatGPT, essentially able to work with as a mechanic assistant to this professional mechanic, and coming up with concrete, specific solutions to a very specific car, make and model number. It's not just general, try this, try this. It's like, okay, on this car, there is a bolt here. You need to remove it. It's amazing. And so this is just a sample of things that are coming down the pipe. And we need to be aware of this, and we need to help people process this, because if not, people are going to be shocked. They're going to be confused. It's going to throw them off, and really loss of identity might occur in a lot of people. So we need to pray that the Lord gives us the grace to be able to help in this situation. Well, we'll talk to you later. See you back next week. God bless.